Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your afternoon live show. Live a bit earlier tonight, as I will be going on Kaz's show at 4:30. So make sure you go check out United Kaz. The end of the show will redirect to that. But also, we're playing at 8 o'clock tonight, so we're going to talk a little bit about the game tonight, a little bit about the lineup, the team news. But there's been quite a bit of transfer news, and that is again the main reason we're live right now because Mathys Tel is going to United, but Tottenham have agreed this kind of deal and package with Bayern. What is the latest on Mathys Tel? What is the latest on Alejandro Garnacho? Some sources suggesting that Garnacho is getting ready to leave, is expecting to leave, could be packing his bags. United now want 18 million for Garnacho. Would we get that kind of money? Look, I'm not the biggest fan of selling Garnacho. I'd want to give him to the summer to give Amran time to assess, and then in the summer we can get proper replacements in. But 80 million for Garnacho, if that is the case, then you can't blame Man United. Like 60 million, I think you could get a bit more if you were a different club, but 80 million. We'll talk about Garnacho, we'll talk about Tel, we'll talk about Gyökeres, Cunha, because Laurie Whitwell, who's probably one of the best sources of information when it comes to Manchester United news. For me, you've got Ornstein and Romano that come up with exclusives, but if we're talking like a specific Manchester United journalist, I'd probably say Laurie Whitwell is the best, and he's confirmed basically the striker's the number one priority at United, and that says to me if striker's number one priority, one of Højlund or Xerxes will go. Could there be some truth in the Højlund up the sale articles? Potentially, yeah. I don't think Innes have been super impressed, so we're going to talk about that striker, who that would be, and all of that as well. But apparently the fee for Mathys Tel's £50 million, so you can see why United would only do a loan for him, because I do think that's quite a bit for a player that's not scored a goal this season, but he was unreal last season when I watched him play and he got those minutes and, clearly a player. But yeah, let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the stories and all of that. So let's dive into this. So this was by Laurie Whitwell. Someone had asked Laurie Whitwell this. Laurie, hello. What do you think will be, what do you think the summer... Why can't I read today? What do you think the summer transfer shopping list will be? Couldn't read that for a second. He said striker number one. And this has come from Laurie Whitwell, who is top of the top when it comes to Manchester United news insight. He works for The Athletic. If they work for The Athletic, they're very good. There's journalists out there like Sammy Mokbel, who's more Arsenal-based, but he'll break the odd Manchester United story. You got Paul O'Keefe, who's very good for Tottenham, but he'll, broke that Mathys Tel's first choice is United. And for United, we have Laurie Whitwell as one of our best sources of information. So that got me thinking, because Matheus Cunha can play striker and left hand. We know United have interest in Matheus Cunha, but who could the striker be that Manchester United want to bring in? And who are the strikers that United have been looking at? Because striker is, reportedly the number one option. Now, Victor Gyökeres has a 58 million release clause in the summer, according to some sources. So it's very obvious United could potentially act on that, but this is what we know so far. So if we look at the strikers United have been linked to, Gyökeres, Delap, Samu, David, Sesko, all players that United have been linked to a striker. My rogue shout is Samu because I think he's the more affordable one. I think Arsenal will get Sesko. Jonathan David, potentially he is on the list. Mbeumo's one I forgot to include on that, but Mbeumo and Cunha I've not put on the list because I think they would be more 10s. And Mbeumo and Cunha are two players that United are looking at, but they could play 10 and centre forward. Whereas Gyökeres, Delap, Samu, David, and Sesko will be centre forwards. That's their role if we sign them. Whereas Cunha, I think, is the left hand that could play centre forward. Mbeumo is a right hand that could play centre forward. So I also think, and this is my hear me out, because I know he's 31, Harry Kane. All I'm saying is, right, Højlund, he's been crap this season, but I don't want to completely write Højlund off. I think there's a lot of potential there. You look at all the top strikers at 21, they were not. I remember when Harry Kane was like 19, people were writing him off. Or was it 18? He went, people wrote Harry Kane off very early. And I'm not saying that Højlund's going to be like Harry Kane. I'm not saying Højlund's going to be like Isak, who Dortmund didn't think were good enough once upon a time. But what I will say is, I don't want to judge Rasmus Højlund at 21 years of age and say that, he's going to be a crap striker because he can't do it at United when we don't play to his strengths. And it's an unstable environment. He's in the graveyard shift. Højlund hasn't been good enough. We clearly need a striker. But Højlund still has potential to be a top striker. And this was my hear me out shout. But Harry Kane, if you can get him for a good price, I'd take Harry Kane on a 2-3 year contract. You can be backup. Højlund can be backup, can learn for Harry Kane, because Harry Kane's an elite striker. And we keep buying young players or being linked to Mathys Tel, but we've got a very young squad. The striker's the one position for me where I don't want youth. I want someone that is ready now to bag goals. Any other position, I like investing in the future. I like investing in youth, like Dean Huijsen for centre-back, of course. But for striker, I want someone that is ready now, because the attack needs someone ready now. When Cavani came in, yeah, we gave him ridiculous wages, this and that, but it was good. Like, Ronaldo came and he scored 17 goals in the Premier League with no service. No one's been able to get those numbers since at striker. You know, you look at Ronaldo, you look at Cavani, you look at Ibrahimovic, and I know United are trying to move away from those kind of deals, but I sometimes think at striker, you probably need that guy, because we've not had that guy in a while. So my hear me out shout is Harry Kane. Now, I'm not saying that United are going to get Harry Kane. This is just my hear me out shout, because if he wins a big trophy in the Bundesliga, he's probably open to returning to the Prem, breaking the goal record. He would only probably come to us if we got Champions League football. But I'm open for that. Realistically, I think it'll be Delap or Samu, because we've got to think of budget affordability. But if there's an opportunity for Harry Kane, I wouldn't be shocked if we went for it. Sesko, I think, will go to Arsenal. Victor Gyökeres and Dusan Vlahovic we've been linked to, but I think if we really wanted them, would we not be pushing more in January? But then I guess we can't afford them until the summer. They could be ones to watch. You know, we were linked to Schick, we were linked to a couple of players, but it wasn't particularly reliable sources. Yeah, I think for me, Gyökeres might be the one, though. There is reports coming out, and this, I think it was said by Pete Hall and somebody else, that Gyökeres would be open to coming to United because he'd want to link up with Amorim. I'm so jealous of Man United, as I know Gyökeres is going there. He's not being played as much at Sporting. Interestingly, everyone at Sporting knows that Gyökeres is either going to Arsenal or United. I think Arsenal will get Sesko. United will potentially get Gyökeres. For me, my first choice is Victor Gyökeres, just to say that. You know, Kane is my hear me out shout. My first choice is Victor Gyökeres because Kane is 31 and is on high wages. And someone said Kane come back to United's past mistake, but Kane's still top scorer in the Bundesliga. You know, he's not washed or anything like that as well. You know, I'm not going to... Someone said, oh, why Kane? Did you not watch the Euros? Because I'm not going to judge Kane off what he did in the Euros. I'm going to judge him off the fact that he's been top scorer in the Bundesliga since he's gone there. And we need goals. Does Kane have the legs? I mean, that is the question. Look, anyway, off topic, Gyökeres is my first choice. I think I could see us going for Delap or Samu because they're a bit more realistic. I think if Kane's open to the Premier League, it could be a hear me out shout. Someone said Lookman at Atalanta. Yeah, I like Lookman. But we've not been credibly linked to him. But I think it will be Gyökeres. I have a feeling we're going to get Gyökeres because 58 million clause. Apparently he wants to work with Amorim. We can't get him now. We have to wait till the summer. Laurie Whitwell is saying Man United's number one priority is a striker. And Victor Gyökeres, he played under Amorim. I know it's an obvious one, but he's a monster. And I think he's got the physicality to do it in the Premier League. So, yeah, for me, first choice is Victor Gyökeres. It makes sense. He knows Amorim's system. I do think Victor Gyökeres, it will be harder for him at Man United than Sporting an Amorim's system because Amorim's system isn't complete. And sometimes strikers are the final piece of the puzzle. But if the system around him isn't right, he's not going to be able to play the same way he did at Sporting. And I think people do have to look at that and take that into account. But it would be some signing, yeah. Kane's past it now. Ostenhem or Gyökeres? I'd say Gyökeres. But I mean, if we got Ostenhem, I'd be absolutely gassed as well. Man United signed Gyökeres' first steps to winning the league. In a dream world, and I've said this so many times if you watch me, Cunha comes in as the left 10. Gyökeres comes in as the striker. You've got Ahmad right 10. You've got Gyökeres as the striker. You've got Cunha left 10. Behind them, you've got Bruno Agata. You've got Collier and Maino that can play there, and probably a new midfield signing that can also play there because I assume Casemiro and Eriksen will leave. Boom. Wing backs, you've got Dorgu and Kerkez. I think we'll go for Kerkez and Dorgu might go right wing back. Boom, boom, boom. You know, they may also go for someone like a Semenyo that could play wing back. Centre back, I think we'll bring in... I think Mazraoui is good at right centre back, but I think we'll bring in a wide centre back. I think Yoram Maguire and Delic's best role as central centre back. But I look at it and I think, yeah. I mean, you make a point. We've overspent on ageing players with no resale value, and I get that. I get that as well. Like, I'm saying if Harry Kane... Sorry. Let me just mute my phone because it's going to buzz. I've just said Harry Kane's my hear me out shout. It's not the one I want, but it's my hear me out shout. If you could get him for the right price on a decent wage and he wanted to come, like, why not? Why not? But yeah, I think the striker market's going to be really interesting. But I like that Laurie Whitwell has come out and said, look, yeah, striker's the priority. And I think it should be. At first, I wasn't sure. I thought, oh, we could probably make it work with Højlund, Xerxes, maybe. Because we're not creating service for the striker. Let's sort out the team. But actually, when I look at United right now, Wing back is the priority for me. We've got Dorgu in. I still think we need another wing back. Whether we go for a right wing back or get Kirkes because Dorgu can play right wing back. Amarin likes 2 left footers. I quite like Kirkes because we've always got Delo that can play right wing back or Ahmad, and then Luke Shaw and Molesty will go. I would like Kirkes personally. So that's the wing back sorted. If you can get maybe a Kirkes in the summer, I think they'll maybe want another centre back that's maybe more natural in the wide areas. Maybe another midfielder that's a bit better on the ball. And then you look at Cunha and you look at Gyökeres, and that United squad goes up absolute levels as well. Alice, where would Tel play? I think that Tel is suited to the left 10 role because he's someone that's definitely a lot better in the pockets. A lot better in the pockets. Oh, sorry, no. I think Tel, because Tel can play left wing, right wing striker. We'll talk about it in more detail in a second. I think he can be the striker, but I think if United are going to spend on a striker, they want someone with experience. I think he'd probably be the left 10. And considering he's sort of a mould between left wing and striker and probably better in the left half space, I think the left 10 role suits him well because you've got to look at his movement as a player. He's a ball carrier. He's a powerful player. He's a powerful striker. His movement's very intelligent. He's got a good strike with the ball. He's got that physicality to hold the ball in the tight spaces. While he does go and put in some good crosses, he's probably a left 10. And I think Tel would be a good addition for United, for sure. But I think 50 million, I don't want to take that risk. But Tottenham paying, I think we're going to try and get him on loan as well. Wouldn't be the right price. He's still class, scoring lots of goals. Is that Harry Kane? Yeah. Anyway, let's dive into some more news. Let's dive into some more stories because we spoke about the striker situation, which I think is interesting. We are going to talk about Mathys Tel. But before we talk about Mathys Tel, I want to talk about Alejandro Garnacho because Miguel Delaney is saying this. Manchester United are aiming to sell Garnacho and bring in Mathys Tel on loan before deadline day. Those close to Alejandro Garnacho saying he's preparing to leave United this weekend. So Miguel Delaney is saying those close to Garnacho say he's preparing to leave this weekend. And everyone's sort of saying Garnacho's preparing to leave. Garnacho's packing his bags. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-di-da. I'm not that confident that Garnacho's leaving. I think Garnacho stays. I know the media's coming out. He's preparing to leave. He's preparing to leave. Chelsea going to bid. Napoli going to bid again. I think Garnacho stays. I think Rashford goes to Dortmund or Barcelona. We get Tellen on loan if he doesn't go to Tottenham. But Tottenham are doing a little bit with Tel what we did with Lenny Yoro, by the way, where they're ready to buy him now. We can only loan him. So does Tel move to Tottenham because of that? Just to let you know. I don't know if Garnacho goes. I think Rashford goes and we go for Teller and Kuku on loan. I think Garnacho will stay till the summer. But a lot of media are saying, look, Garnacho's packing his bags. United are aiming to sell Garnacho. He's on the way out. A lot of media are talking as if Garnacho could be gone. Now, interestingly, and I like this, okay? And if Chelsea paid this kind of money, they'd be stupid because they don't need to spend as much on a winger. But Chelsea expected to make another move in the final few days of the window to bring in Alejandro Garnacho. United's demands are significant of 95 million euros, which is 80 million pounds, says Tanzalike. Now, this is a good source of information. This is a reliable source of information. They broke the fact that Tottenham had an agreement with Bayern for Tel at 60 million pounds. Then a few minutes later, Romano confirmed that. This is a very reliable source of information saying Chelsea ready to make another move. United want 80 million pounds plus. Now, look. I think if you 70 million pounds, Garnacho to Chelsea is a fair price because you've got to put in the fact that he's a rival. Look, I don't think Chelsea should spend 70 million on Garnacho. They don't need to spend that much on a winger. But I think from United's perspective, with them being rivals, that's a fair price. But we're going into the last day of the January window. There's nobody to replace Garnacho with that we can buy on a permanent. You want Garnacho, higher the price to 80 million. That's what I want to see United do. I don't want to see United caving on deadline day and letting Garnacho go for 55 million because that shows some desperation to sell Garnacho. We're not desperate to sell Garnacho. Amarin wants him until the summer because there's no replacements out there. Rashford and Antony's who we want to get out. He's on low wages. We're not desperate to sell Garnacho. We're willing to give him time. So if United, accept 50, 55 million deals from Chelsea on deadline day, we look like mugs because we paid that for Mason Mount with 1 year left on his contract. Do you know what I mean? Man United are doing what Ajax did to us. Okay, you could have had Anthony for 40 million. You didn't pay that. You then come in and on deadline day, we sell him for 85 million. That's what you do with Alejandro Garnacho. You could have had Alejandro Garnacho for 60, 65 million. Now you're coming in on a deadline day, we want 80 million. That is how proper clubs act. Aston Villa rejected 60 million for John Duran, and he's just had a purple patch this season. Southampton want 55 million for Tyler Dibbling. Xavi Simons cost 60 million pounds or something. I think it's fair to sell to a rival. and you can't replace him, I get United up in the price. Look, people are saying, just sell Garnacho, sell Garnacho. We sell Garnacho, we can't bring anyone in, we're an attacker short. And we've rushed the decision to sell Garnacho, who may not work in our system and may not be the best fit. But why don't we give Garnacho to summer to see how we can adapt and see how he does, especially with someone like Dorgu coming in could help him. Then in the summer, Amarin might say, look, I don't think Garnacho is it for the system. Good player can get money for himself. Fair enough. We've got time to replace him in the summer. We don't need to rush selling Garnacho now. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. You sell Garnacho and you can replace him with Mathys Cunha right now in January and you can get 70 plus million for Garnacho. Fair enough. But it's about, I think, making sure you get your money's worth. And I think that United asking for 80 million, Chelsea shouldn't pay that money. But that's what I want to see. I want to see teams spending 80 million on Garnacho. Because if we sell him for 55 million, I think we've been mugged off. I want to see us ask for 80 million on Garnacho and do what everyone else does and make our rivals overpay if they want him as well. Alice, what's happening with Rashford? He's waiting for Barcelona. I think he'll end up at Dortmund if he doesn't go to Barcelona. The whole Rashford situation, it's just getting really boring. But Chelsea expected to make a move for Garnacho. United are demanding 95 million euros. To be fair, that's our Anthony money back. So... I don't think Chelsea pay that money. I think that's United going highball. I think a deal could be agreed in the 60 million base fee, 70 millions in add-ons as well. But I think the United are right to ask for a high price. If we sell Garnacho, can we get Cunha? I think Cunha could be available, but Wolves again want 70 million. Cunha is a 50 million player that will be inflated to 60 million because of the January window that Wolves will want 70 million for. You get 70 million for Garnacho and you get Cunha for 55 million and you sell Garnacho with 15 million profit. It's good business, but yeah. Someone said they'd take Naipan before Tel. I think Tel's a better fit for the system than Naipan. So should we talk about Mathys Tel? Because there's quite a bit of information coming out on Tel, who, to be honest, Tottenham are favourites to sign him. Tottenham, he wants Man United, like Lenny Yoro wanted Madrid. But because Tottenham are really pushing, they might get him. Now, obviously, Paul O'Keefe said that this yesterday, and Paul O'Keefe is like the best Spurs source out there. But Mathys Tel prefers a move to Man United over Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham. Also said by Pete Paul Paper Sport. Sami Mokbel, who's one of Arsenal's best sources of information, said that Mathys Tel is waiting to see if United or Arsenal formalise their interest in his services before making a final decision on his destination. His biggest priority is to play regular football. That was then said by Sami Mokbel. So it looks like, Mathys Tel wants to play football, la-di-la. Now, you've got Tottenham fans writing letters to Mathys Tel telling him it's a waste of his career to go to Manchester United, which is crazy because a 6-month loan at Man United is not exactly going to ruin his career when Man United don't have a single attacker on the bench where he's guaranteed minutes. But look, what's the best move for Mathys Tel? Not Chelsea because they've got a number of wingers. It would probably be Tottenham or Man United. But I don't get this argument that he'd be stupid to reject Tottenham for Man United. Because Tottenham, Yang's gone out on loan to QPR, but that's a young left winger. Mikey Moore is one of the best talents in the country. Like, I know if you don't follow Tottenham's academy, Mikey Moore, different level of talent. Like, I take him at United. If we sign Mikey Moore for our academy, oh my. Like, Mikey Moore is a different level of talent, young left winger. Son's obviously on the way out. I think he's a bit like... But then they've also got Odegaard that they signed from Burnley, who's been injured. They've got Odegaard, Moore, and Yang as these three elite talents for the left wing. Yeah, I guess there's flexibility. They can also play on the right wing, but they're there for. I think all of their better positions are the left. And then you bring Tel to that, who can play striker, but Solanke's been good for Tottenham. Solanke's been mint. Richarlison is all right when he's fit, but he'll probably go. Tel will be back up to Solanke and competing with all that on the left. He can play on the right, but you're not getting the best out of him. I think Tel was a really good signing for United, but there was this Tottenham fan on Twitter writing a letter to Tel that he'd be stupid to go to Man United and Tottenham's the best choice for him. But I actually think Tel likes to play on the touchline, come inside, and Postecoglou ball suits Tel. I think he could get the game time. Obviously, Yang's out. Obviously, Odegaard's out. I think him and Mikey Moore can compete for that game time. But I also think he would easily get game time at Man United and he can play striker and play 10 in our system. It'd be silly to go to Chelsea. He's not going to get the game time. Arsenal, he'd probably get the game time because I don't think their attack's very good, but I think Arsenal needs someone that's ready-made now. I think it is a race between Man United and Tottenham for Tel, and I think both moves were a good move for Tel. He obviously wants Manchester United a little bit more than Tottenham, but Tottenham has shown that more ambition to get him, which makes me think I think Tottenham might get the deal done. No, it wasn't. It was one of those tactical accounts that wrote the letter. It was called Invert the Wing. So there's a few tactical accounts on Twitter that then claim they're like working in football coaching and all of this and that. I don't know. A lot of these tactical accounts on Twitter spit so much nonsense that like EBL, Invert the Wing. And they probably get ChatGPT to make their writing look more complex. And they were saying, he could never go to United. He'd ruin his career. Mathys Tel, he wouldn't ruin his career going to United. He wouldn't. I get it's not the best place for development right now, but we wouldn't ruin his career going to United. So, anyway, Mathys Tel prefers to move to United. Now, Florian Plettenberg said Spurs have opened talks with Bayern about signing Mathys Tel. And there is breaking news coming out right now that Spurs have agreed a 50 million fee with Bayern for Mathys Tel, but the player has not chosen where his next club will be. So, right now, Tottenham have agreed a deal with Bayern for Mathys Tel. A little bit like we agreed a deal with Barcelona for Frankie de Jong. Man United agreed a deal with Barcelona for Frankie de Jong. He didn't come to United. Tottenham have done the same with Bayern Munich. They've agreed a deal for Tel. Will Tel come for Man United? I can't tell you that, but Tottenham have agreed a deal there. So, is he waiting for United? Is he going to go to Tottenham? Who knows? Is he going to go to Arsenal? Is he going to Chelsea? Is he going to go to Villa? Who knows? Tottenham are leading the race. His preference is Man United. Man United can only do loans. This is the situation of he goes to Tottenham tonight because Tottenham are showing the ambition, or he waits. Man United get rid of Rashford deadline day right before the deadline, and we get it done. So yeah, there's an agreement there with Spurs, but that doesn't mean he's going to Spurs yet. Someone said Tel to Man United, Garnacho to Chelsea, and Cuckoo to Bayern. Could that be a possibility? Yeah, Spurs are favourites. Spurs, I think Daniel Levy's realised he's got to actually show some backing and show some ambition this window, and I think that's why he's under a lot of pressure. I think like Kulusevski and a couple of Tottenham players have sort of been taking digs at Daniel Levy, so I think Daniel Levy's woke up and thought, damn, I've got to drop 50 million on Tel. In a bit of a panic, to be honest. But I like Tel, but yeah, Spurs are leading the race because they've agreed to deal with Bayern, but Tel hasn't agreed to go to Tottenham. If Tel agrees to go to Tottenham, he's a Tottenham player. But I think United are having conversations with him, this and that. Right now, he wants to go to United, but if we don't get rid of Rashford or Garnacho, he won't come to United, he'll go to Spurs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But right now, I think Tottenham are favourites. Go sign Gyökeres for 70 million, Daniel Levy, not Tel for 50. The fact that Tel's going to cost them 50 million and Gyökeres has a 58 million release clause in the summer is quite crazy, but Tel could be a really good signing for Tottenham. I think they're just overpaying because it's January and there's a bit of a panic buy. But Tel could be a very good signing for Tottenham. I think he'd be a great addition. But I just think with Tottenham, you've got Yang, you've got Odegaard, you've got Mikey Moore. I mean, look, I think Tottenham would have rather got someone that's a bit more ready now. But let's dive into more news. Let's dive into some more stories, people. We will touch upon that later. But it was said that Patrick Dorgu's Manchester United medical is to be rescheduled to take place over the weekend. There's no issues. It's just due to documents/contracts. Dorgu's expected to fly to England over the weekend. I think we'll see Dorgu. We won't see him at the weekend. I think if he had his medical today, you could see him on the bench at the weekend. I think we'll see Dorgu maybe sometime next week. When is our next game after the weekend game, which is... Who do we play at the weekend? Is it Palace? It is Palace. Oh, so we have the Friday. So his debut, Tel could make... This is good. This is good, actually. So Dorgu will probably make his debut versus Leicester in the fourth round of the FA Cup. That's a good game. It's an FA Cup game. It's a Leicester. You can probably drop Dorgu in for a start. So Friday the 7th of February, I think that will be Dorgu's debut. So that'll be interesting. And then Man United, Tottenham on the 16th of February, which could be the Mathys Tel derby, because he could be playing in that game, but we don't know what team for. So I was just checking all of that. Samu has a €100 million release clause. Does he? That's crazy. I thought Samu would be a bit cheaper. That's crazy. Dorgu for 15 minutes sub against Leicester. I think Dorgu could start against Leicester on Friday the 7th. I think he could. You can have Felix for 65 million. João Felix for 65 million. That's a joke. Because he's not been convincing. Like, João Felix is a decent player, but he's not been that player that I feel like he got the hype for. I also just don't think that Maresca ball suits him. Last thing we need is Tel. He started his career as a centre back. Like, we need goals. Did he actually? The thing is, Mathys Tel last season averaged a goal contribution every 86 minutes. Yeah, if you got 16 goal contributions at age 18 last season, it's just dried up for him this season. Like, you've got goals in Mathys Tel. The only thing with Mathys Tel is we've got Garnacho that's young and raw and inconsistent. Do we want to replace Garnacho with another young, raw, and consistent player? Whereas with someone like Wemo or someone like Cunha, you know they got it now. Even like a Morgan Rogers is showing a little bit like he's got it now. That's the only risk with these teenagers. Yeah, don't recognise our club anymore. Celta Premier League rival. Yeah, for me, if Chelsea bid 80 million for Garnacho, you can't blame United for saying we'll take the money. But if we end up selling him for like 60 million or under to Chelsea, and we're like we got no replacement, then it would be ridiculous. I agree. Someone said he's been getting microwave minutes at Bayern. He has. He's been getting microwave minutes at Bayern. He did start last game though in the Champions League, but I didn't really watch much of the Bayern Munich game. Monza have agreed a deal to sign Italian striker Francesco Camada. Now, you might be asking, Alice, why are you reading about Monza and Milan transfers? No, because Francesco Camada is a 16-year-old forward that has been linked to United in the past. We were linked to him about a year ago, and he's just signed for Monza. I mean, he's 16 years of age. I guess when you've got Obi Martin, we don't really need to get him being cheery Obi Martin. Even Ethan Wheatley, we probably don't need to get him as well. But I just thought I'd read that out as that was an interesting story. Everyone's saying Tel's set to go to Spurs. I mean, he's not agreed to join Spurs yet, but I would, if I had to guess right now, I'd say Spurs. But it's definitely not over. I think to be honest, Man United are going to do something on deadline day. I bet nothing's going to happen today in regards to Man United news. It's going to be this time tomorrow, Garnacho this, Rashford this. This time tomorrow, I think it's going to be hectic. I think tomorrow's going to be hectic because Man United are going to leave it all to the deadline. They'll leave it all to the deadline. I think if an attacker goes, we will bring someone in. It could be Nkuku, it could be Tel. We will bring someone in on loan if an attacker goes. But if we won't do anything at all, Rashford's gone or Garnacho's gone. Like, I don't see anything happening. Anyway, continuing on, this is Manchester United's matchday squad ahead of FSSB. Now, I think we've basically qualified for the next round of the Europa League, but I think just to if we lose, I mean, look, we're going to go through to at least the playoffs, but we need to just get that point really to just guarantee that we're through to the next round or win the game. If we win the game, we're through to the final 16. We don't have to do the playoff games, which is what Man United want. I think we'll win the game, but FSSB are in 8th in the Europa League. They've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 1 of their last 5 games in the Europa League. They're not a bad shout. They've only got 1 less point than us in Europa League, so I don't think it's going to be an easy game by any means, but I think we should be able to win the game. But yeah, we should get automatic qualification. We'll definitely qualify for the next round. But we don't want to be in the playoffs. We want that rest. We want Ruben Amorim to have those 2 weeks with the squad. But that is the squad for the game. If I was to predict the lineup, I think Bayindir will play. I think Yoro will play because he did the press conference. I think Delo will play because he never gets a rest. I think Malacia will play. I think Madra will be rested, or one of Delo and Madra will be rested. I think Maguire will play. And I think Leacher will play. I think De Ligt will get rested. I think it could be Ericsson and Agate, Something tells me it could be Ericsson and Agate with maybe Bruno, Højlund. I think Højlund's going to play this one, and maybe Ahmad, if I was to guess. If I was to guess our lineup. Maybe Collier, but I think he likes Collier in the Premier League. It'll be interesting to see. I really couldn't guess to be honest, guys, I really couldn't really guess what the lineup's going to be, because I don't know if he's going to go strongest lineup, make sure we get the win so we get automatic qualification, which means that we don't have to play a midweek game and he can get longer with the squad. Or is Ruben Amorim going to be more like, oh, actually, I want to rest and rotate, focus on the Premier League, need to get us up the table. I think United's priority is right now. I think where United's at right now in terms of ambition and priority and everything is I just see United as a team that wants to just try and get in the top half of the Premier League, and then the focus is going to be on Europa. So I wouldn't be shocked if we went strong, because I think the focus is on the Europa, by the way, guys. Bear with me one sec. My laptop is absolutely frozen. Why are you frozen? Why is this so frozen? Right, I've absolutely froze out here. Bear with me, guys. Okay. Anyway, people, I am now going to do a show over on Kaz's channel talking about all the latest Man United news and stuff. So you're going to be redirected over to Kaz's channel. So I'm literally going to see you guys in like 3 minutes when I'm live on Kaz's channel. Big up everyone for watching. See you next time. Bye.